They thought humans were weak, until Earth's children showed up at the training grounds. Commander Zephyrian's four eyes narrowed as he watched the transport vessel settle onto the Academy's landing pad, with an ungraceful thud. The Galactic Military Academy had seen recruits from across the known galaxy, towering Vraxians with their crystalline exoskeletons, lightning-fast Quillari whose reflexes could process combat scenarios in microseconds, and the hulking Korvathi whose natural armor could deflect plasma bolts. But humans. The Academy Board had only approved their admission as a diplomatic courtesy. Primitive bipeds, muttered Lieutenant Thane, his serpentine form coiled beside the commander. Their homeworld barely achieved faster-than-light travel 50 cycles ago. What could they possibly contribute to galactic defense? The transport's ramp lowered with a mechanical hiss, releasing a cloud of steam that obscured the emerging figures. Zephyrian expected to see the pale, soft creatures from the intelligence reports, weak beings who required artificial atmosphere and temperature regulation just to survive outside their narrow environmental parameters. What stepped out instead made him question the reports entirely. The first human was a female, her dark skin glistening with what appeared to be natural moisture regulation. She moved with a predator's grace, her binocular vision scanning the Academy grounds with an intensity that reminded Zephyrian uncomfortably of apex hunters from his homeworld. Behind her, a male with lighter pigmentation hefted a pack that, according to Zephyrian's quick calculations, should have required mechanical assistance to lift. "Welcome to the Galactic Military Academy," Zephyrian announced, his translation matrix converting his words into the human's primitive language. "I am Commander Zephyrian. You will address me as..." "Sir," the female interrupted, snapping into a posture so rigid it seemed to defy their apparently flexible skeletal structure. "Cadet Sarah Chen reporting for duty, sir." The formality caught him off guard. Most species required several cycles to adapt to military protocol. Behind Chen, 11 other humans had arranged themselves in perfect formation, their responses synchronized in a way that suggested either telepathic communication or an extraordinary level of conditioning. "Very well," Zephyrian said, recovering his composure. "Follow me to the training grounds. Your first evaluation begins immediately." The Academy's main training facility stretched across several hectares, featuring obstacle courses designed to test the physical and mental capabilities of the galaxy's finest specimens. At the center stood the Crucible, a biomechanical structure that adapted its challenges to each species' particular strengths, always pushing them to their absolute limits. Cadet Torkesh, a Vraxian whose crystalline form had earned him the highest EU combat scores in Academy history, watched the humans approach with what might have been amusement. His squad of mixed-species elite recruits had gathered to witness what they assumed would be an embarrassing display of human inadequacy. "The Crucible will analyze your biological parameters," Zephyrian explained, "and generate appropriate challenges. Fair warning, it has reduced several recruits to tiers." Chen stepped forward first. "Permission to request team formation, sir? This is an individual assessment, Cadet." "Understood, sir. Then permission to go first and establish baseline performance metrics for my unit?" Zephyrian's translator struggled with the term baseline performance metrics, but he gestured toward the Crucible. The biomechanical construct hummed to life, its sensors analyzing Chen's physiology. Readings scrolled across the display. Muscle density, reaction time, cardiovascular capacity, neural processing speed. What happened next would be debated in NIAR, military academies for generations. The Crucible, designed to challenge individuals at their maximum capacity, unleashed a gauntlet that would have tested a Korvathi warrior. Plasma barriers erupted from the ground, requiring split-second timing to navigate. Gravity fields shifted randomly, forcing constant adaptation. Holographic enemies attacked from impossible angles. Chen didn't just survive, she thrived. Her movements were fluid, economical, each step calculated for maximum efficiency. When a gravity field reversed, she used the momentum to launch herself toward a previously unreachable platform. When plasma barriers created a seemingly impossible maze, she identified a pattern in their timing that even the Academy's computers had missed. But what truly amazed the observers was her adaptation rate. Each challenge that should have required multiple attempts to master she solved on the first try, her biological system somehow processing and integrating new information at a speed that rivaled the Quillari. "Impossible," whispered Torkesh. "No species adapts that quickly." Chen completed the course in record time, but instead of celebrating, she immediately began analyzing her performance for inefficiencies. The next human, a stocky male called Rodriguez, stepped up and somehow improved on her time by 3%. One by one, the humans ran the crucible. Each one performed beyond theoretical limits for their species parameters. More disturbing still, they appeared to be learning from each other's runs, their times improving with each iteration in a way that suggested collective intelligence processing. "Run full-spectrum analysis," Zephyrian ordered his aide. "Check for enhancement drugs, cybernetic implants, anything that could explain this performance." The results came back clean. These were unaugmented humans operating within their natural parameters. Lieutenant Thane's skepticism had transformed into something approaching fear. "Commander, their homeworld's gravity is higher than standard galactic norm. Their atmospheric pressure, their temperature ranges. They're not adapted to easy living. They're adapted to survive." Zephyrian was beginning to understand. Most species in the galaxy had evolved on worlds that allowed for specialization. The Vraxians' crystal world provided perfect conditions for their particular biology. The Quillari homeworld's low gravity had allowed them to develop their incredible speed. But Earth was a chaos world, a planet where survival required constant adaptation to changing conditions, where the dominant species had to outcompete countless other apex predators, where intelligence had evolved not for contemplation but for immediate, practical problem-solving. They're not weak, he realized aloud. They're generalists. They're built to handle anything. The final test came when Torkesh, stung by the humans' performance, challenged them to combat trials. The Vraxian was twice Chen's size, his crystalline hide immune to most conventional weapons, his strength capable of crushing metal. Chen studied him for exactly 4 seconds before the match began. She didn't try to match his strength. Instead, she used it against him. Every charge became momentum to redirect. Every powerful blow became an opportunity to position for a counterattack. When conventional tactics failed, she adapted, using techniques that seemed to blend combat forms from multiple disciplines in ways that created entirely new approaches. The match ended with Torkesh on the ground, his crystalline hide intact, but his pride thoroughly shattered. "How?" he demanded. Chen helped him to his feet. Another surprise, as most species viewed defeated opponents as temporary enemies. "On Earth, we have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog." Zephyrian's translator rendered the idiom incomprehensibly, but the meaning was clear enough. As the human squad was led to their quarters, chattering among themselves with an easy camaraderie that spoke of shared hardships and mutual trust, Zephyrian found himself revising every assumption he'd held about galactic hierarchy. Perhaps the galaxy had been waiting for generalists all along, beings who could adapt, who could find solutions where specialists saw only obstacles, who could unite different approaches into something greater than the sum of their parts. Perhaps the galaxy had been waiting for humans. The thought should have been disturbing. Instead, as he watched Earth's children disappear into the academy corridors, Zephyrian felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of military service: hope.